Good evening, everyone. I will call tonight's special meeting on June 3rd, 2024 to order. Before we dive into tonight's agenda, I want to take a moment to introduce those seated at the table and the audience with us tonight. To my right, we have Superintendent Matt Degner, Directors Abraham, Eastham, Williams, and to my left, we have Vice President Clausen, Directors Finch, Lingo, Board Secretary Kim Colvin, and seated at the administration table, we have Deputy Superintendent Dr. Ramey and Brady Shutt, ISCA Board President. Thank you guys for being here. And the purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear from the candidates who applied for our board vacancy that will be available due to Vice President Clausen's retirement. We can say that because you've served a very long time, sir, as he head back to the classroom here in Iowa City at West High. And the way this will work, each applicant will have 4 minutes to come to the podium and address the board. A timer will be displayed above Board Secretary Kim Colvin's head on that display. And we will go in the order for which applications were received. I do need to make one announcement. Unfortunately, Mr. Robert Decker had to withdraw his application, so we were not expecting him tonight. With that, we will go ahead and start. First up, we have Sean.
I'm going to attempt to hold this, but I talk with my hands. We'll see how crazy it goes. Thank you for the time tonight. I know that y'all kind of gave up your weekend in your service to the board and the district, so I appreciate having another commitment for you tonight. So I'll try and be brief. And I'm supposed to come up here and tell you why you should pick me. I think my 5 recent years of experience on the board, working alongside most of you, makes me uniquely qualified to fill this role. So I'm going to spend my time telling you some things that I'm excited to work on when I get back up there. And if I still have some time, if I don't ramble too much, probably a little bit about why I'm coming back after I left the board not that long ago. What we did about 3 or 4 years ago, we sat around that table back there, most of us, and we talked about moving to a middle school format. And I pleaded my case as to why I thought it was a great thing. And we talked about some of the physical natures, relieving some of the overcrowding at our elementaries, getting preschools in the elementaries, which we're on the verge of doing all that. But I talked about really one of the biggest complaints that I heard from folks in the district is that there just weren't enough opportunities at the junior high for kids to try new things out. A few weeks ago, I got to go to the Foundation's breakfast, and I got to hear Superintendent Degner talk about a lot of the new opportunities that are going to be at our middle school. I'm really excited to come back and work on that programming piece because that's the important part, not just the physical building. And I know there's a lot of work being done, but I want to see it continue. I want to give us more opportunities at that middle school level. I think we can really impact kids' lives by giving them choices earlier and help them figure out really what they want to do. So that was my plea back then, and now I really like to see it come to fruition. We're opening them up in the fall. Is it this year? It's crazy for me to think that, so I'm very excited to work on that. And I do have tons of time left. I still won't take it all. But about 2 years ago at this time, I resigned from the board, much like Director Clausen. I was taking classes, and I started a program to get a teaching degree. And I was halfway through it, and I was really enjoying it. I got to spend time at Liberty with Brady and folks there in the classroom, teaching classes, and I really liked it. However, each time I had to go in, the night before was a struggle for me. A lot of anxiety, and it got worse and worse every time I did it. More so than any point on the board, actually. And I thought to myself, if I'm struggling this much for the handful of times I'm coming in, I don't know that doing it every day was going to be a good fit for me. I do know that when I sat up there, I did great work for all of our students and our district. I want to go back and fill that role again. Ironically, the amount of time left on Director Clausen's term that this would be for is about the same amount of time I gave up on my elected term. And so I think it's fitting for me to come back and serve that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we will hear from Timothy.
I'll also try to not get right in my face with that. So like Sean said, thank you guys. I know you had a busy weekend. I appreciate you giving up your evening again. Thanks for all of your service. I voted for each one of you, including you, JP. And as I'm sorry to see you step down from the board, yay for me. You're headed to West where my kids will matriculate, so you'll get to instruct them. A couple of things brought me out tonight. One, because I voted for JP and I saw you step down. I grew up in a family with community organizers in a small town. My dad served 25 years on the city council. My mother ran the Chamber of Commerce. I realized that it's important to be part of the community that you're in. My wife and I have lived here for 14 years. Our kids are finally getting to a place where I'm not daily shuttling them or taking care of them. They're pretty independent. My oldest son, Cooper, will be a 7th grader at Northwest next year. My daughter, Charlie June, she'll be a 4th grader at Weber next year. We call Iowa City home. Don't foresee us going anywhere anytime in the near future. My wife's a full professor at the university in the Carver College of Medicine. As for me, I didn't leave a lot, I didn't put my resume out there. I'm a master's level social worker, so mental health is where I kind of live. I do couch therapy. We're solving the world's problems an hour at a time. But I get to talk to kids from every school in our district as my patients. I interact with their parents. I've been to their IEP meetings and their 504 meetings. My son Cooper is autistic, so I've been through that special education piece a lot in the 13 years that he's been alive. So kind of getting to see it uniquely from that. Social work is not just the couch therapy piece. In grad school I was a macro level focus, so all sorts of policy stuff that we worked on. I follow the state level work that's going on and how that affects you guys. I understand what the budget is doing to you and the strain that that's putting on our district and our kids. So I guess I offer myself up in that way that I bring some sort of unique skills. Also, I spent 4 years working in the district as a school facilitator. So I was every day in the classroom with the teachers, with the administrators, seeing what they did on a day-to-day basis, both the great success that they have and the sort of unique challenges that it brings. I love the fact that our district is diverse and it's inclusive and it works to do those things. I got a chance to see Crystal Josell on her way out the door, and she's going to defend her dissertation on Thursday. Crystal and I work together, fantastic. It's one of the things that keeps me excited about being here and that my kids get to have that experience. So if I can be part of that solution, in the absence of JP while he educates my kids, I sincerely would offer myself up. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Next up, we will hear from Bob. Is Bob here? Okay. Next up, it will be William.
Sorry, I'm late. I got caught up in traffic a little bit. I think you can hear me without the microphone, can't you? I have a pretty good voice. I go by Bill. During my time when I was teaching in Phoenix, I served as the NEA president of my district for 2 years. And before that, I was a contributor voicing my concerns and expressing my own wants and needs. When I became my district's licensing expert, I attended meetings, studied licensing requirements, and helped other teachers renew their own licenses. After I was elected president, I worked directly with the superintendent, principals, and teachers, as well as with the school board. I listened to my fellow teachers so I could help them alleviate their concerns and meet their multiple needs. I learned a lot about what teachers want, what they need. My goal was to make life better and easier for everybody concerned. And instead of voicing my own wants and needs as president, I solicited the opinions of everyone else. I listened. I also worked directly with Governor Hull to get a 1% sales tax passed so that it could only be used to increase teacher salaries and reduce classroom sizes. I have an idea about how all that works. When I retired from teaching in 2009, I took a year off. And then I began sub-teaching in Iowa City, which I did for 12 years here. From 2022 until now, I've been doing a lot of retirement things, such as traveling. I subbed in just about every school in our district. People like Ken Turnus, Andy Gahan, Chris Psarek can recommend me, as I was requested frequently to sub at their schools. My education is pretty extensive. Besides music, I have a BBA in business administration. I have a master's in special education. I was a musician before I became a teacher. I managed a Hamburg Inn. While teaching, I put on concerts and music that ranged from band to choir to elementary. I directed a musical. I reffed basketball and baseball. I was a volleyball scorekeeper. Everything I did, I enjoyed. However, don't manage a restaurant. That I learned. Well, last fall, at the ripe old age of 74, I returned to full-time teaching. The principals at Northwood Kents had asked me to step in and direct their choir and teach general music, and I turned them down. But after they worked on me for a while, I acquiesced. They told me the kids wouldn't have a certified music teacher if it weren't going to be me. So I made the 7.5-hour round trip many times last fall to go up to Northwood so that I could teach their classes. I also had to practice piano every day to renew my piano skills because I hadn't been playing in quite a while. But I needed to do that to be able to put on the concerts. We did great concerts, and I didn't do it for the pay. I did it for the district and for the kids. I want to serve the board here for the same reason. I think my best qualities are being able to listen and to ask the right questions. I have patience and I have a sense of humor. You don't become a successful teacher without patience and a sense of humor. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, we will hear from Tim.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. My name's Tim Borchard. I've lived in Iowa City now for 35 years. I have 2 kids. Both of them have worked through the Iowa City School District, starting at Grant Wood into Southeast and now City High. Unlike my distinguished other candidates, I went to junior college. Didn't get a degree, but I do believe in my years of experience that I have the ability to take the information from the smartest people in the room, evaluate it, and offer a recommendation. I've communicated with the board over the years several times, and I felt I would be a hypocrite not to come in and place my name in candidacy after the discussions we've had. My wife and I came to a decision a while ago. She goes to work at 4:30 in the morning. I'm semi-retired. I work at the local grocery store up here. My main job is to get the kids up for school, get them out the door. I work till 2 in the afternoon, and at that point, I keep my afternoons open for all their activities. I do believe that I have a lot of opinions to offer the board. We all agree on the end solutions. Just how we get there, I think I have a little different perspective. I understand that the board is in conflict or in communication disagreement on the state, various issues, the school voucher system, other legislation. I'd like to be able to find a way through these disagreements where both the state and the county, the district, the board can come to a solution that works for everybody. As one example, this voucher system, I would like to understand why the people left the district. this system or this voucher program is probably not going away anytime soon. So we can use it to understand why people are leaving the district. And if most of the reasons are things that are in our control, we can evaluate how those changes to the district might affect other parts of the district and try to keep people in the district. Use it as a learning tool. Also, there's a big budget. I think it was 7.5 was the first number I heard a couple years ago. And as I look at that, the thing that comes out, the board continues to, we're gonna have to reduce teachers, we're gonna have to do this, we're gonna have to do that. As a manager in my full-time career, it occurred to me that every time the top guys wanted to get farther away from the front level people, they have added middle management. Now, I say this with no malice toward anybody, because I don't know these people, but we have 10 assistant principals at our high schools. Are they all needed? Maybe. But that represents $2 million in salary. I would suggest we look throughout the district from the top to the bottom and try to find out where there may be duplications and cuts. I hate to say cuts because everybody's a good person, but where we can save money in the district without having to affect the frontline teachers. I don't know any of you personally. I've never met any of the board members. We may disagree on some policies, but I think you do the best you can, and I would do the same if I was chosen. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just so it could be on record, I don't think she's here, but Heather. Okay. So first, I would like to thank the applicants for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us tonight to share a little bit more information about why you would fit on the board. The next item on our agenda is the process for the appointment. Regarding the process, on June 11th, we will hold another special meeting immediately following our regularly scheduled meeting that starts at 6 to select the candidate for the vacancy. And to select the candidate, each director will have the opportunity to use ranked choice voting. So that means that each director can vote for up to 3 applicants, and they would list them as their first, second, third choice. They could also choose to vote for 1 or 2 applicants. And the first choice would receive 3 points. The second choice would receive 2 points, and the third choice would receive 1 point. At the end of that first round of voting, the applicant with the highest tally would be the person selected to fill the vacancy. In the event that there's a tie, the board would do a second round of voting where we would only vote for 1 applicant. So it wouldn't be a second round of ranked choice voting, but just voting for 1 applicant. Additionally, as part of the process, once the candidate is selected that night for the vacancy, because we only have 10 days to administer the oath of office, the successful candidate would take the oath that night and would join us at the board table on June 25th. So with that, is there any questions from the board regarding the process?
Ruthina, it just occurred to me, what would we do if an applicant is not present at that meeting and is selected?
Then if the applicant wasn't present at that meeting and selected, we would have to find a date within that 10 days to give them the oath.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Any questions from the, go ahead, Superintendent Degner.
And Secretary Colvin, they can just do that with you, right? That wouldn't
Yeah,
have to be in
no.
an official
Yeah,
meeting. We would just have them come into the
Yeah,
office and
they
do
can
that.
do it. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that. Any questions from the applicants? Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.